Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Ohio.
It is a glorious weather summer Wednesday in downtown Cincinnati, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark, the rubber game of this three-game series between the Cardinals and the Reds. Two thrillers the first two nights of this series. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. Let's get right to it. Sal Romano was skipped over one time, pitched a game out of the bullpen. And now, Chris, he goes back into the starting rotation, certainly with something to prove.
Well, I think he's got something to prove here in the second half of the year, Tom. He'd like to make sure that he finishes strong, that he stays very strong. The one problem he may run into today, though, he's going to have a lot of time off between the last time he pitched before the All-Star break, about 10 or 12 days. So when a pitcher feels like he's a little bit too strong, sometimes you feel like you can get away with stuff that you really can't. He's got to go back to basics, pitching inside to left-handers, getting that breaking ball down. His slider has always been the key. That's where he gets the most strikeouts, and it's been his most effective pitch.
His mound opponent today is having an excellent rookie year, young Jack Flaherty. So far, he's been pretty doggone impressive.
Well, it's a combination of good control and a nice, easy motion and a really good slider. And he's got a good slider. There it is right there. He'll come in on left-handers with it. He gets strikeouts with it. Last time that he pitched against the Reds back on July the 14th, he didn't get a decision even though he went 5 innings of shutout baseball. This guy's a very good-looking young pitcher. You know, the third in a row here, third rookie that the Cardinals will run at the Reds here in this series.
Yeah, first time the Cardinals have done that since September of 1997. All right, here we go. We're getting right to it when we come back. Starting lineups, first pitch, Hamilton and the Redlegs trying to make it 2 of 3 in the series. On Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. By Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. And by GMC.
Perfect day for some baseballs. We're looking at a win at home for the last time against the Cardinals. 80 degrees for your first pitch at 12:35. Mostly sunny skies, a little bit warmer, a little bit more humidity, but shouldn't be an issue other than maybe a sprinkle or two as we head into those afternoon hours. But let's bring home a win, guys.
All righty, thank you very much. And the guy trying to lead that charge is a right-hander, Sal Romano. This will be his 21st game, his 20th start of the year. And Chris, as you mentioned, it's been a while since his last starting assignment. That was when the Reds were in Cleveland, Ohio.
Well, that's what happens when you're down in the rotation as far as like number 4 or 5. You come around to the All-Star break and you naturally get skipped and pushed back. So it's just one of those things that you have to adjust to if you're a pitcher. You make sure that you take a lot of time in your warm-ups before the game. You try to go back on what you've done in your bullpens. He has pitched one time in relief since he had the last start. So hopefully he'll be around the strike zone. The careful thing, though, is not thinking that you can throw hard just because you feel strong.
Let's take a look quickly at the Carding lineup. It'll be Carpenter at third, Molina catching, DeYoung at short, Ozuna again in left with Martinez at first, Fowler the hero last night in right, Munoz, Bader the start in center, and Flaherty on the mound. Cardinals at 51 up, 50 down. They are now in fourth behind the surging Pirates, who won their 11th straight game last night. They have trounced Cleveland the first 2 games of that series. First pitch fouled away by Matt Carpenter, and we are underway. Cubs have lost 2 in a row to Arizona. Milwaukee has won 2 in a row. So a game-and-a-half spread there for the top spot in the division, but the Pirates now just 6 games out of first place in the National League Central. Swung on and fouled out of play by Carpenter, who came into this series the hottest hitter on the planet. He had 2 hits in the series opener, including a double and a run scored, but the Reds shut him down last night. 0 for 5, 2 strikeouts. He did draw a walk. Beat him with a fastball, popped up in a short left, and it will be a base hit. Suarez had to go a mile. The Reds had a huge shift put on Carpenter, and apparently Carpenter wasn't running hard because he's standing at first base.
Now the ball hung up there seemingly a long time. That is not Jose Peraza, the shortstop. That is Suarez, the third baseman. So third baseman not used to going out there that far. I mean, but he was in a position basically of playing shortstop. Thought he had a beat on it, went right off the edge of his glove, and I don't know whether there was a miscommunication there between he and Adam Duvall, but the Cardinals get a first base runner out of the first batter.
So now Yadier Molina, the St. Louis catcher, a swing and a miss on a fastball by Romano right out of the gate at 96 miles per hour. I mean, that's a routine pop-up. But the Reds put 3 infielders between the first and second base bag, and seems like we're starting to see that with more frequency. And perhaps you're just looking for it. That's a legitimate point. It just seems like there are fewer plays where batters are hitting into the shift than there have been recently of those that are beating the shift. You agree, or you think maybe I'm off base?
You know, I don't know. That's the kind of thing you'd almost have to look up, Tom, because you might be looking for it right there.
Yep.
But, you know, you got to figure that eventually batters will adjust, the shifts will adjust, batters will adjust again, and then we'll see different types of shifts.
This ball in the air to short right center field, and another bleeder. This one off the bat of Molina will send Carpenter on to second base.
You know, I'll never forget what my one-time AAA baseball pitching coach, Sammy Ellis, told Dave Righetti. Righetti was pitching a game for Columbus, and he was getting nickel and dime to death, jamming guys into bats, and he was throwing like Romano in the high 90s. And he pulled Righetti aside and said, you know, the harder you throw, the more you're going to get that. The more you're going to jam a guy, but you're providing the power just to get that ball over the infield. You got to hang in there. Don't change a thing.
This one a line drive that'll be caught by Irvin. And he'll fire back into first base, but the runner was getting back in time, Molina. How about that? They get two dinks that fall in, and then DeYoung gets a laser, and it's an out. Go figure.
Well, that's especially tough because coming off the bat of a right-hander, you know that's got a lot of slice on it, moving away from him. Reds defensively have a very good configuration out there today. Urban, of course, Billy Hamilton, one of the best, and Duvall can cover a lot of ground and left.
Of course, no Jesse Winker again here today, and you wonder kind of where that whole thing is headed. We've talked about that shoulder being problematic for Winker early in his professional baseball career. It's bothered him from time to time. He re-injured the shoulder the other night base running when he had to duck underneath a Tucker Barnhart line drive as a runner at first. He was not used as a pinch hitter last night, and he's not in the lineup again today. And really not a lot of information coming out of that Reds clubhouse about the extent or seriousness or lack thereof of the injury to Winker. I mean, you really don't see a whole lot here. He goes down to the ground and must have jammed the hand and right up through the shoulder, but clearly was in a lot of pain once he got to the bag. Straight away center. This will be out number 2. Ozuna retired. Look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Talked about the outfield, Chris did already, and on the infield, the regular group. Reds need Jeanette and Votto to get things going on offense. Only 1 for 27 since a break from that duo. And Barnhart back there behind the plate. We don't know for sure if Winker is or is not available as a pinch hitter today. You heard some of the news on Scott Schebler during Reds Live. He was taking batting practice. You saw him throwing. He was injured, of course, in St. Louis in that series before the break when he crashed into the wall. Here's Jose Martinez. And whatever scouting report the Reds have on this guy, they better burn it, because he has been mediocre at best against the entire National League. But against the Reds, he has done extraordinary damage.
Well, that's the first time that he has had that as a first pitch, which is a little bit of chin music right there, running him right off the plate at 96. Kind of really like that.
Fastball in there, strike. Martinez this year against the Reds is the Cardinals' leading hitter, 373. Now bear in mind, talking 15 games here. And in the 15 games, he has 4 home runs and 15 runs batted in and has walked 7 times. 2 on, 2 out. Boy, he has got some serious heat. Strong indeed, as you mentioned, Chris Welsh coming into this start.
And you know, the interesting thing really for Romano this year, what he has done is basically put in his pocket his 4-seam fastball and gone almost exclusively with the 2-seamer. Today looks like a different game plan, because maybe he is so strong, he is pitching up in the zone and basically blowing it right by him.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Jose Martinez. Runners at first and second base. And that's strike. Oh, boy. It looked for a second there like the home plate umpire, Jeff Kellogg, the crew chief, was ready to ring him up. I mean, come on.
Wow.
I never get on umpires, but I mean, come on. Two balls and 2 strikes, 2 on and 2 out. Tapper over the mound. This is trouble. Peraza and Jeanette collide. The ball dribbles away, and everybody's safe. And hopefully everybody's healthy.
Well, it was Peraza that lost his glove. I'm not so sure they're going to get anybody anyway. I almost know for a fact that Jeanette would not have been able to make that play just by the angle that he was playing. Peraza coming towards the bag may have had a chance right there, but both these guys playing very aggressive. How about the first 3 hits that the Cardinals have had in this ball game? A bloop in the left, a bloop in the right, and then that one that went about 75 feet. If Sal Romano can get out of this jam the way that they have loaded the bases, he will really have done a little tightrope walking.
All right, so here is Dexter Fowler. Fowler with the big home run here last night in the 11th inning against Amir Garrett, breaking a 2-2 tie en route to a 4-2 St. Louis win.
Switch hitter, he hit that home run right-handed.
And here's another guy that has just killed the Reds compared to everybody else in the league. He's batting in the 170s. Against the Reds, he's batting in the 280s. Fowler has 8 home runs on the year, and half of them in 12 games have come against Cincinnati. In fact, 25% of his season RBI total has come in the 15 games against the Reds. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, really hardly anything in this inning off speed for Romano. He's thrown a couple of sliders early on, but he has basically kept the fastball on each one of these Cardinal hitters.
Another fastball swung on and missed at 95 miles per hour. Basically 2 pop-ups, 2 little flares, and then a bouncer over the mound. 3 base hits in the inning. Cardinals have them loaded. 2 outs, 2-2 on Dexter Fowler. Three and two.
He chased the first 2 like that. Now they misread the count. They've got runners hung up.
Oh my goodness. See if they can get that final out. And Carpenter is safe, and the Reds don't get a single out of the play. And this is a thing that sent Jim Riggleman off the reservation 2 weeks ago when the Reds botched a similar type of play in a rundown.
Well, they botched the play, I believe, against the Milwaukee Brewers, but this one, there's no reason why. The Cardinals just miscount the number of balls in the count. I think the guy at second base there,
Molina,
thought that there were 4 balls on the batter. But when you get a runner hung up between third and home in a big league game and you can't get the pickle done, boy, oh boy.
This is trouble. And Suarez makes a marvelous play to end the inning. Boy, what a spectacular play that is on the run made by Eugenio Suarez. So a lot of drama there in the top of the first inning. The Cardinals leave them loaded.
Cincinnati Reds.
Reds coming to bat here in the bottom of the first inning of a scoreless game. Let's take a look at Jim Riggleman's starting lineup. Peraza, Jeanette, Votto to start it. Suarez, Barnhart, Duvall the middle third. Latter third of Irvin, Romano, and Hamilton. And on the mound, making his 16th start of the year, is right-hander Jack Flaherty.
Well, the third consecutive rookie that the Cardinals will throw at the Reds in this series. The first two guys, boy, you got to figure that the pressure's on Flaherty here to step up his game a little bit, because Ponce de Leon and then last night's starter was able to go out there and just basically stifle the Reds. Gomber, and Flaherty's the guy who's had the most experience of all those three rookies. Only 22 years old, from Burbank, California. Former #1 draft pick.
1-0 the count on Peraza. That batting average sitting at .291. 5 home runs, 35 knocked in, 17 doubles. This one in the air. Fowler there for out number 1. We look at St. Louis on defense behind Flaherty today, presented by Ford. Fowler, Bader, his first start of the series in center, and Ozuna in left. Carpenter, DeYoung, Munoz, and Martinez along the infield. Molina again back in there, has started each of the 3 games. According to Elias Sports, the Cardinals are the first team to have rookie starters not allow a hit over the first 6 innings in consecutive games since the 1964 Kansas City Athletics. So we have witnessed some baseball history here the first 2 games of this series. Scooter Jeanette, that average has slipped down to .313. We mentioned the duo of Jeanette and Votto have just 1 hit combined since the Reds came back from the All-Star break, and this offense has certainly gone into snooze mode. They've scored 2 runs or fewer in each of their last 5 games. That's their longest such streak, going back to September all the way in 2014. They have not gone 6 consecutive games of scoring 2 or fewer since the 1998 season. Jeanette had a funny look after that swing. We've seen that swing before where he falls down to 1 knee, but he had a funny look getting back up on his feet.
You know, he told me one time that he actually practices going down low with his entire body to get that, rather than just trying to drop the bat head. I don't think he hurt himself. I think he's just kind of angry that he chased the pitch down and out of the zone.
You know, it's interesting to note, because of the poor offense and the opposition coming in here and scoring early, a Reds pitcher has not taken the mound with a lead now since the Saturday game against the Cardinals in St. Louis prior to the All-Star break. So you're talking about a span of 6 games and running 57 consecutive innings. And bear in mind, the only win the Reds have had was that walk-off win here on Monday night. So they're trying to change all that here this afternoon. Joey Votto with 2 down and nobody on, the 2-2 pitch. And Votto will be issued a 2-out walk. And here comes Suarez. Boys, he stepped up and delivered the goods all year long. But we put the microscope on each of the last 2 games. Reds, of course, were down 1-0 down to their final out here on Monday night. Clubbed a home run to tie the game, making it 1-1. And then here last night, Suarez, a 2-run home run to tie the game in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Well, what a beautiful follow-through he has on that swing. Just a terrific arc as that bat goes through the hitting zone.
RIGS bringing the energy. Suarez among National League third basemen. Boy, he is right among the very elite. He and Nolan Arenado. They are 1 and 2 in virtually everything. One ball and 2 strikes on Suarez. He just continues to get better and better. Week by week, month by month, year by year since joining the Reds, originally playing shortstop, making the move over to third. Took a little while to make that transition. Now it seems almost seamless. And this ball is in the air and tagged into deep right field, and Suarez has done it again. Time for a little salsa. That's a Cliff Notes version.
Well, that is good hitting right there, to be able to take a ball on the outside part of the plate, wait on it long enough, and then drive it with enough bat speed to get it out of here on the back door. Wow. You know, at the beginning of the year, in the National League, the third baseman that you would be talking about, I mean, Nolan Arenado, obviously. You know, Matt Carpenter would be in the conversation. Anthony Rendon, of course, Chris Bryant always. Travis Shaw. But, I mean, it's been Arenado and Suarez that are basically distancing themselves from just the rest of the pack as far as their offensive numbers. And defensively, you know, Suarez is, you know, not far behind Arenado.
And now Barnhart shoots one the other way. That'll be caught by Ozuna. But Suarez has been the man all year and in this series. His first at bat today on a 1-2 pitch, a home run to right. Reds are off and running with a lead. Customize your experience to catch every moment this year. Download MLB At Bat today. Eugenio Suarez provides his pitcher for the first time since the Saturday before the break to take the ball and take the mound with a lead. Jairo Munoz, Harrison Bader, Jack Flaherty. And there's strike one from Sal Romano, pitched out of a bases-loaded jam.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how baseball is? I mean, Sal Romano had bases loaded. The Reds had a guy on a rundown. They couldn't get the third out. He's able to squeeze out of that jam, and the Reds very innocently get a 3-2 walk with 2 outs to Joey Votto. And then next thing you know, Suarez pops one out of here, and the inning is over after a line drive, and you're up 2-0.
Really is. Funny game.
I mean, with a key hit in that first inning, the Cardinals could be off and running. And if you're Sal Romano, you're thinking, all right, that was their chance. They didn't take advantage of it. I'm going to slam it shut here.
Straight up in the air, and this will be handled by Billy Hamilton. One away. Here's Harrison Bader. Limited playing time, 276 batters, 6 home runs, and 14 runs batted in. You know, we were starting to talk about Schebler for a minute. Many of you heard that they decided to send him to Louisville on an assignment to try and get ready. Been injured since the 18th of this month with a sprained AC joint in his right shoulder, suffered against the Cardinals on the 14th. And the Bats will be hosting Buffalo tonight, and Schebler figures to be in the lineup at the very minimum by tomorrow. And this was earlier today, presented by Elk and Elka storyline about Schebler. And you know, he's been able to hit the last couple of days, but now they have him throwing some. He'll be used as a DH when he first starts with the Bats. And I mean to tell you, Romano just blows Bader away.
All right, now Sal Romano looks about as strong as he has had all year long. That fastball riding up in the zone, and normally a guy that stays down around the knees, it looks like he's basically changed his entire strategy here today for the better.
Flaherty as a batter this year has 4 hits in 26 at bats. Has done a nice job when they've asked him to bunt, but that's not in the cards here at 0-2, and that's ball 1. You know, all the things you mentioned that went on in that first inning, and you look back on the strike that wasn't called, the slider, and everything that transpired after that. Votto able to knock it down, and Romano, as you suggested, Chris Welsh, comes right back slams the door on a 1-2-3 inning. Big Sally Pally getting it done in a second. To Friday's game with the Elvis ticket package. We'll have the post-game fireworks to the Elvis-themed soundtrack. And remember now, this limited edition bobblehead is only available through this offer. Get yours at Reds.com/themes. Nice to have Jim Day sitting up here with us today, Chris, right in between us.
We are very
almost on the throne sitting here today.
Even though a beautiful day here in Cincinnati, it must be a little bit toasty down there in the camera well. And hey, we're happy to have him. You better not get up and leave between innings. He has a tendency to come in and take over the play-by-play seats.
It's funny you say that because, over in the radio booth before the game today, my dad had not snuck out for, 15, 20 minutes. And he was right in that chair.
It's an embellished story, Chris. Marty was sitting in the chair in the back that I normally sit in. I was simply tying my shoes because...
Well, you're sticking to that story, right?
Yes. But it's skin prevention, skin protection, being out of the sun when you can.
It's a good idea, really good idea. Reds with a 2-0 lead on a home run by Suarez in the opening inning. So Flaherty to face Duvall, Irvin, and Sal Romano. Fastball in there, a strike. What do you like about Flaherty? He's had a good year.
I like his slider. I like his explosive fastball. You watch the way the fastball takes off, and the reason he does that, he really fires towards home plate. Watch his right foot as it comes off the pitching rubber, and you can see where he gets that extra thrust there. I mean, that right foot kind of kicks up high right behind him. I mean, it's a classic power pitcher when you use your legs that much.
One and two on Duvall, and that breaking ball, there's that slider you talked about. Got him to chase it.
Bread and butter. I mean, he's got 4 pitches, but the one that he really likes to use, though, and the one that he's got great arm action at and he's got good control, that's the slider. Well, you can see from that delivery and his body. I mean, that's what you're looking for in a #1 round draft pick. Not really high in the draft, but a guy that they picked out of high school. He had committed to North Carolina to do his college work, and the Cardinals basically overpaid the slot by quite a bit in order to sign him and lure him away from college. He was the Cardinals minor league pitcher of the year last year. And the high school that he went to, Harvard Westlake High School, is basically a powerhouse high school in California. I mean, when he was a sophomore, he played third base. And he saw two of his teammates, Max Fried and Lucas Giolito, both drafted in the first round in 2012. And then he came in and pitched behind them to kind of take over the spots that they left open.
Yeah, that is indeed a powerhouse, a spectacular campus there at Westlake. And if I remember right, Mike Scioscia's kids went to school there.
You may have.
And they're a whole pile of them. 2-2.
I mean, how's this for a high school career? When he finally began to pitch as a junior, Flaherty ended up his junior and senior seasons going 23-0 and tossed a no-hitter in his final game.
It's not too bad way to finish. The LeBourbon out of there on strikes. Back-to-back strikeouts for Flaherty here in the second inning. 3 total in the game.
You know, the year that he was taken, 2014, that was a year that really the top pitcher that has made it to the major leagues, Carlos Rodon of the White Sox, who just had a great game the other night, Kyle Schwarber, Aaron Nola. Brandon Finnegan was taken by the Kansas City Royals, 17th pick. The Reds picked 19th. They picked up on Nick Howard.
Romano 1 hit in 27 at bats. That was a double. 2-2 the count with 2 outs and nobody on, and that's all on the breaking ball. So Flaherty strikes out the side, but the Reds lead Flaherty and the Cardinals 2-0.
He appeared on MLB Network and told us what he'd like to do after retirement from baseball.
After I'm done playing drive a bus, I legitimately would like to drive a yellow bus when I'm older. So I've actually thought about, I want to be either a crossing guard or drive a yellow bus, drive the kids to school or let them cross to school. So, you know, that's something I'm excited about. I'm serious about that. I think that'll be great.
Well, we'll see if he's serious. By the way, Joey, we have the Fox Sports Ohio Fan Express.
Very nice.
Which is available for drivers in the future. If you would like to drive Reds fans to Great American Ballpark, we will have an availability in the future. We'd like to take you up on it.
But, you know, I think the point Votto's making, correct me, Jim, and obviously you're so very close to Joey Votto, and I mean, you've forgotten more about him than I'll ever know, and most of us will ever know. There's a ball pulled foul, but, you know, I think his point in all of that is he really likes kids. He doesn't have any children of his own. He has younger siblings that are considerably younger than he is. But, you know, there is a very soft side and compassionate side of Joey Votto that you've seen, that the rest of us are starting to see here over about the last year.
Well, particularly when he's in the on-deck circle and he has some time around the seats down there. When he's usually conversing with people, it is kids.
Yeah. Carpenter to start things here in the Cardinal third inning. Reds in front 2-0 on a two-run home run by Eugenio Suarez against Flaherty in the first inning. In there, strike.
You see why the Reds want to do a little, let me clear that one up, a little shift on him because of that spot right there. When he puts it on the ground within 200 feet of home plate, he pulls it.
Straight away center field, hit a long way, but of course that's the deepest part of the yard. It'll back up Hamilton up against the wall before he hauls it in.
Well, right now, Romano is right on the edge of the plate. And they were just pitching Molina away, trying to take a little power away from him.
Molina just looped one over Jeanette's head in short right field for a single in the first inning. Cardinals left them loaded if you're just joining us. I mean, Romano pitched around what would have been strike three in an at-bat. He pitched around a couple of flare hits. He pitched around a botched rundown play that should have been the final out of the inning. And this is a routine pop-up here, with Duvall taking charge right from the start and running it down. 2 away. And that'll bring up the number 3 hole hitter, the shortstop Paul DeYoung. He hit a laser into right field that was run down by Irvin in the first inning. In the air, left center field, and this ball will carry into the seats in left center, and St. Louis on the board. A 2-out solo home run in the third by Paul DeYoung. Ball's going to really fly out of here today.
Well, you're not kidding, because that looked like a halfway decent pitch. Really went and left the hand of Sal Romano. A slider going down and away, and DeYoung, he's got good pop. Hit a line drive against Romano his first time. It's on the outer third of the plate and down, but he just went right down there and put the good part of the bat on it. This is not an easy place to pitch. It's about 4 rows deep. We didn't think the Carpenter hit his ball all that well, and it put Billy Hamilton right against the center field wall.
Two balls and a strike on Ozuna. Straight up into the air. And Duvall calling everybody off, and he'll make the play to end the inning. All right, a solo home run by DeYoung. Reds will bat in the third, leading by a run.
Trying to find playing time for guys to now ailing shoulders. Jim Riggleman updated the outfield situation.
Gives Billy and Duvall a chance to go out there every day, and I think Phil Irvin's a good outfielder. He's done a nice job, so you know, it's an opportunity for some other guys to get some at bats and stay sharp. Dixon may find a game out here one of these days pretty soon, so they're all major league quality players. So you know, we just put them out there and hopefully they handle the pitching they're facing.
Well, just like that with Winker, and who knows his future with his shoulder ailment. Schebler is off to AAA with a shoulder problem, so they're a little thin all of a sudden in the outfield. And one might raise the question, what about Dilson Herrera? Would you send him out in the outfield? He has been taking fly balls, but it hasn't necessarily gone great, but they would not rule that out. So you're going to see some young guys like Dixon, like Irvin, and maybe Herrera in a pinch get some time.
Yeah, the Reds have been pretty fortunate with regard to injuries to their regular 8 players. They have, of course, lost Suarez for 16 games or so early in the year. And they've had Shebler on and off the DL, but for the most part, I mean, the infield has been healthy. You know, a few days sat out by Jeanette, but no long stints on the disabled list. So this thing with Jesse Winker, if it does turn into something that's going to be, you know, problematic and long-term, then that'll be the first really long-term blow that the Reds roster has had. And when one door closes, another one opens. So if you're a young player on the team like Dilson Herrera or Brandon Dixon, you're thinking, hey, I'm going to get ready for whatever time they call me.
And knowing the personality of both of those two young men, Dixon a little bit better at this point than Herrera, you know that both of them will do anything and everything they can to try and be ready should they be called upon to play in the outfield. Leadoff walk to Billy Hamilton, 22 steals. He's been thrown out 4 times. Boy, how exciting was it a number of years ago now, and man, how they go by quick. When the first encounter, when Billy Hamilton came into a game to pinch run, Yadier Molina, the game's top defensive catcher, and Hamilton picked up that stolen base. That was one very exciting moment.
I'm not so sure that the steal is part of the game as much. I mean, the opposition has only had 2 stolen bases against Flaherty all year, and Molina still throws well. But this, in my opinion anyway, this combination of Peraza at the plate and Hamilton at first base, you can't get a better hit-and-run combination on this ball club. Peraza makes a lot of contact, hits the ball the other way a lot.
Fastball up and in. Well, you know, a lot of times managers will wait on 2-1 if they get to that count, but 2-0, this may not be a bad count to put the runner in motion. Pitcher doesn't want to fall behind 3-0. We'll see. Obviously, the Cardinals are aware of that. And you rarely ever see a 2-0 pitch out. They don't start the runner, and that's a double play. A sharp one hopper right at the second baseman.
Hit it very hard to Peraza right on the button. It came up and it gave him a Sunday hop for Munoz at second, and that is a easy DP lane.
So Scooter Gennett, who struck out his first time up. And a breaking ball in there, a strike. Gennett 0 for 15 since the All-Star break. You know, getting back very briefly to what Jim was talking about a minute ago with no Shebler and no Winker, I think everyone who watches Reds baseball, follow Reds baseball, would certainly agree with the following. When this team had it rolling for the better part of 2 months, and they've really played baseball, good baseball, for the better part of 2+ months, Shebler and Winker were every bit as important to this offense as even the 3 guys who went to the All-Star game. I mean, Shebler was leading off, setting the table, hitting balls into seats, hitting balls into gaps, scoring runs. Winker gets dropped down in the order. He's driving in a lot of runs, knocked in virtually a run per game for over a month. Jim, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, what Jim Riggleman was talking about is both guys left-handed batters, and the guys that are going to replace them are righties. So you've got obviously Gennett and Votto in the middle of this lineup, but it's really tough on right-handed pitching, which you're mainly going to face when you have those lefties in the lineup, and the fact that Shebler and Winker are both lefties and everyone's going to replace them are righties makes a even bigger difference.
Sure. 3-1 on Scooter. And that'll be his first hit since the All-Star break. Drops that one into right center field.
You're not going to hold him down forever, that's for certain. He gets a pitch that's up that time. He struck out on the pitch down in the dirt, and Flaherty tried to come in with a fastball, and Scooter got it into the gap. So you keep the inning alive, just like Votto did for Suarez in the first. It'll be Votto, then Suarez.
Votto, the 2-out walk in front of that home run, as Chris mentioned, in the first inning by Eugenio Suarez. The Cardinals get one of those runs back on the 2-out solo home run by DeYoung in the top of this third inning against Romano. 2-0 on Votto. Well, now Molina very slowly out to the mound, and he'll be joined by the shortstop DeYoung to confer with Flaherty.
It's almost like Yadier Molina has become the de facto pitching coach. He just saves Mike Maddox, who stands at the top of the dugout right alongside the manager, the interim manager, Mike Schilt. They let Molina do the heavy lifting, and then when you really need a break in the action, that's when they send Maddox out, who probably does most of his work behind the scenes.
Three and 0 to Votto. Reds would love to get Suarez up there with 2 aboard and take their chances here in the bottom of the third inning to add to a 1-run lead. Votto loves swinging 3 and 0. Is he going to get one to hit? He takes it for a strike. Now that might be a case, maybe not. I have to ask Votto about it. Maybe Jim will after the game. That when you're really going good, maybe Votto swings at that 3-0 pitch. But right now, he only has 1 hit since a break. Was in a little funk even before the break. And so maybe he knows, hey, the guy behind me right now has really got it going on, and maybe it would help the team to get him up to the plate here in this inning. 3-1 to Votto. Takes a breaking ball in the inside corner for strike 2.
Boy, gutsy pitch right there for Flaherty. Just goes to show you, I mean, as young as Flaherty is, I think he's only 22 years old, but he's in his first year as a major leaguer. I mean, you throw that pitch right there, which is a changeup, to Joey Votto on a 3-1 count on the inside corner. Gutsy.
Now Jeanette gets started. And Votto drives the ball into left center field, and giving chase is Bader, and he'll get to it in time. We've been told he's an excellent defender, and that's a nice play. End of 3, Reds lead by a run.
sometimes when a pitcher has a long time between starts and he gets so anxious to get out there, he just can't stand himself. But Sal Romano seems to have a renewed sense of confidence.
I've been taking care of myself throughout the time off of not being able to start. So I'm excited. I'm really anxious and excited to get back out there and compete with the guys again, and be out there to start the game, and go through my routine, and be able to go out there and hopefully give us a pretty good chance to win.
I don't know about you, Tom, but I just see a renewed sense of confidence in the way Sal Romano talks. Early in the year when you're a rookie, you're not sure if you're going to stay in the rotation. You've got other guys that they've been weaving in and out. You happen to be a guy that made the rotation coming out of spring training, but there are never any guarantees. But I think after that game in Cleveland where he got knocked around in the first couple of innings, then he ended up giving the Reds more than 7 innings in that game. I mean, that was a turning point for him where he realizes, you know what, I belong here. I know what I have to do to adjust, and that confidence is beginning to grow a little bit for him.
I'll tell you one thing that can't be denied. This guy does like to compete, and he does want to take the ball. And look, you could probably say, well, doesn't everybody? I'm not so sure the answer to that question is yes sometimes.
Well, some guys like to take the ball when they're feeling 100%. Other guys will take the ball all the time. And you want the guy to be able to compete when he doesn't have his best stuff, when his slider's not there, when his release point's a little bit off. You still want that pitcher to be able to give you 5 or 6 innings. No matter how they struggle, just get through it. Doesn't matter how you do it.
Well, he looks very strong here today. Pitched out of a big-time jam in that first inning to no fault of his own, but he got the job done when it mattered. Had a 1-2-3 second, allowed the solo home run to DeYoung, and he has a 1-run lead, 2-2 on Martinez to begin the Cardinal fourth.
And there still are no guarantees. I mean, when you're Sal Romano, you're only as good as your last few performances, especially if you have some pitchers down at AAA beginning to perform. And Robert Stevenson right now is doing exactly that. He tossed a 7-inning complete game shutout yesterday. His last 5 starts, he's got a 1.1 earned run average. So he's getting it together.
On swinging is Martinez. Second strikeout of the afternoon for Romano.
Little knuckle curve for him right there. He's got a knuckle curve and a slider. Really a hard one and a soft one, if you want to call it that. I really enjoy the pitchers at a young age learn how to change speeds on the breaking ball. There's a knuckle curve grip. Kind of spikes his index finger, but pulls down hard with his middle finger on the seam.
Couple of other day games underway. Padres lead the Mets 2-0 in the 5th. Dodgers and the Phillies, what a wild game they had last night. 16 innings. 1-1 today in the bottom of the 4th inning. Boy, that is a quick turnaround. Remember, we had one of those games a few years ago in Philadelphia where we went, 17, 18 innings, something like that. Had to come back and play the next day. Didn't get back to the hotel, if I remember right, till like 3:30 in the morning. 19 innings.
Was that the game that Jimmy Rollins deked?
Yes.
Brandon Phillips.
Yep, at second base.
Got him a step off second base.
They picked him off, and it turned into a huge play in the game. And I'm trying to remember the pitcher. Boy, he showed incredible courage and guts in that game. But the Reds had used him a couple of days before, and then they used him like 5 innings out of the bullpen that game. He wound up getting the loss, but boy, he showed a lot of toughness. Carlos Fisher was his name. Jim Day reminds me. There's a base hit by Fowler with 1 out. Hey, Kroger and the Reds are proud to team up to offer you a great value this year, the Kroger Meal Deal. Now, you can check concession stands all over the ballpark. You get it for $9. It includes a hot dog, a bag of chips, a 16-ounce Coke, and during this homestand, Emerald Nuts. Make sure to get your Kroger Meal Deal next time you show up at the ballpark. Fisher in that game through the final 5 2/3 innings. Wound up getting the loss when Philadelphia won the game in the 19th.
Well, it was Wilson Valdez, who was the second baseman for the Phillies, who ended up pitching and winning that ball
That's
game, right? And then he was later, of course, traded over here to the Reds and became a guy in the Reds clubhouse that had to explain himself about that game. He had some bragging rights when he came to the Reds clubhouse there.
Runner goes, and a bouncing ball by Munoz skips right past Peraza, and the runner will go first to third. May have taken, and now the throw goes all the way into the plate. And the runner easily goes to second base. Not a pretty fundamental start to this one for the Reds today.
You know, I was watching the infielders take infield practice yesterday, and this is not only specific to the Reds, but nowadays there are more and more infielders who prefer to field the ball off to the side than I've ever seen before. Had a conversation with a couple of Reds coaches about that. Also conversed with some of the Cardinal coaches about that. Old timers, and it's just kind of the way a lot of times they're being taught, off to the side a little bit. That ball took a funky hop, went right over the glove of Peraza. He gets nailed with an error, and the mental error, I think, by the outfield to throw the ball into the plate. Duvall really should have checked out where that runner was before he just came up firing.
All right, so second and third, that'll be an error on Peraza, and here is Bader. It's a big batter in this inning. You've got the pitcher next, Flaherty, who only has 4 hits all year long in 27 at-bats. Bader has not been a regular player. He'll play from time to time. You struck him out his first time up, and you're looking for the same kind of thing or a pop-up now.
Yeah, blew him away with a fastball. Basically overpowered him his first time.
And blew him away with a fastball on strike 2 there.
Yeah, as long as he chases that pitch up there, Romano ought to just keep climbing the rungs of the ladder a little bit higher on this next pitch. Bader's so anxious to try to get these runs in, he's likely to chase.
How about that? That's what he was looking for. And he gets his 3rd strikeout, and that's the biggest one so far.
Well, just froze him right there. Bader read it as a fastball. It turns out to be a little knuckle curve. You see the grip that he has on it right there. I did a very interesting tech talk with Sal Romano about that, and he got a really good idea on how to throw it and how to grip that ball. But you see how he kind of spikes his index finger. But this is the big finger right there, that middle finger that he pulls down on the seam with. Excellent pitch there.
And this is a big out now. Got to put away the pitcher. Flaherty did make contact his first time up. He hit a ground ball right at Joey Votto. That ended the second inning.
You know, when Flaherty first signed, he had a decision to make whether he'd be a pitcher or a regular player, because there were some inside the Cardinal organization that thought that he could be a good enough hitter to hit in the big leagues. But they convinced him that the fastest way to the major leagues was as a pitcher. The same way that Michael Lorenzen made the same decision, although the difference was Flaherty coming out of high school, Lorenzen coming out of college.
All right, a chance to put him away and keep this 1-run lead with 2nd and 3rd and 2 outs. 0-2 on Flaherty. Did he go? They appeal, punch him up. Flaherty can't believe it, and that's the inning. That's a second inning in this game where Romano has really buckled down. Reds still lead 2-1.
Clutch. He's big time when it's on the line, and we ask Eugenio about his pride in being the clutch guy.
I like compete. I like, I like be excited, like excited moment like that one, and be not be the hero, just be the my intern, myself tell, okay, you got to win this game, you got to win this about, and that's what I try to do every single time.
And Suarez is the first Reds third baseman to homer in 3 straight team games since Aaron Boone, and you got to go way back to 2002. And Tom's favorite stat, OPS. His OPS has gone from 728 to 828 to over 960 this season. That is raising the clutch bar as well.
No doubt about that. In fact, you go all the way back to the 2000 season. Here's a name from the past. How about Chris Steins? He was the last Red third baseman to homer in 4 straight games.
Steinsy. Well, he had some great winter off-season endeavors that he did. He used to jump out of helicopters down in South America to do some mountaintop skiing.
Really?
Yeah.
Boy. He must be really good at it if you're going to do that. A lot of youngsters here at the ballpark today. Andy Pierce and his family doing great work on the Reds Community Fund and many of the vignettes that we brought your way during our telethon here on Monday night. Glad he's able to have a little R&R today with the crew. Two and 0 the count. Well, I understand from our producer Kent Dreamweaver that we were kidding around the other night about trying to stump Matt Sigathus, our Foxbox operator. I mean the Elvis operator downstairs, who every time we talk about something, he seemingly has the play at his fingertips, no matter when it was or who it was or whatever, as Suarez has gone on strikes. But Chris, apparently, we tried to stump him the other night. He is confessing right from the get-go he has no video of Chris Steins jumping out of helicopters to ski down a mountaintop.
And I'm not surprised, because Steins, he didn't really want that well known when he was playing, because it was probably against his contract. because if you get hurt doing something like that, they can void your contract and so on. But now that he's been retired for quite a while, he may be still doing it. Thought it was fascinating. He was a guy that loved to be in the weight room. I mean, he was one of the original strong men before it became so, you know, it's almost mandatory now for guys to get in there and spend hours in the weight room lifting those weights.
Yeah, he had that open stance, and you know, for a while there, he had a pretty good run at it, swinging it back. I mean, he had some good offensive moments playing for the Cincinnati Reds. Didn't turn into a long-term thing, but he certainly had a moderate level of success. And when he was good, he was really good. Nationals and the Brewers will go back at it this afternoon, wrapping up that series. And the Brewers all of a sudden have taken it to them. They've won the first 2 games of that set, going for the sweep today. And for Arizona, that is game 3 of a 4-game series. It'll get underway here shortly at Wrigley Field, and the Diamondbacks have just thumped the Cubs the first 2 games of that series. Well, you go back to the very beginning of that Diamondbacks franchise, and they have just dominated, for whatever reason, the Chicago Cubs. Barnhart out of there swinging. 6 of them in a game for Flaherty. Cheer on your Cincinnati Reds when they take on the Phillies Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and save thanks to Mike's Car Wash. You can get those 4 view-level tickets and get 4 Reds hats for a total of $48. You're not going to beat that anywhere, any place. Reds.com/4 for $48.
Well, it just seems like a lot more breaking stuff from Flaherty here this time through the order. That's what he got Suarez on. That's what he got Barnhart on. He goes early in the count to off-speed breaking stuff to Duvall. Whereas the first time through, he threw a lot of fastballs. In fact, when he struck out the side in the second, most of those were fastballs. That ball is hit.
It is hit indeed, and it will fly out of here. Duvall goes the other way. Second opposite field home run by a Red today. Suarez with a man aboard to right in the first, and now Duvall in the fourth. 3-1 Cincinnati.
I'm really impressed, but I know that the hitting coach Don Long has to be extremely happy when he sees the home runs the Reds have hit today going opposite field. I mean, getting that foot down, keeping your head back, really using the leverage you're able to create by moving off that front foot, staying back, and just driving that bat through the zone. You know, the last time Flaherty pitched, it was against the Cubs, and he pitched 5 shutout. That was against the Reds. He did that, but you know, he had 18 runs of support, so he had basically had 4 games worth of run support when the Cardinals beat up on the Cubs 18-5.
That was a game they lit up John Lester, and nobody seems to light up John Lester. He'll be back on the mound for the first time today, Will Lester, since that beating he took. That was a game that Carpenter hit the 3 home runs and knocked in 7. And one and 2 to count on Irvin. Reds only have 3 hits, but 2 of them home runs. And there's a breaking ball, strike 3, and Flaherty has 7 strikeouts through the first 4. But the Reds are back on top by a pair on the home run by Adam Duvall. Ohio brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, now ranked number 2 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. Well, what a beautiful, beautiful summer day in downtown Cincinnati alongside Jim Day, Chris Welsh. I'm Tom Brenneman, our entire Fox Sports Ohio crew. Great to have you with us. And, you know, as quiet as the offense has been, and we gave some of the numbers since coming back from the All-Star break, you find a way to win this game today, and you take 2 of 3 from the Cardinals.
You know, that's the way you inch your way back to the 500 mark. You're trying to get there at the end of the year. I don't know whether the Reds can do that or not. They've got to play good baseball, but you can't lose the final game of a 3-game series when you're playing at home. You're coming off a stretch where you really played good baseball. And, you know, you forget about the 3-game sweep by the Pirates because they're beating up everybody right now. But this is a game, certainly, that you've got a lead now, mid-game. You hold on to it. And the way Romano's throwing the ball, you have no reason why you think that's going to change.
Top of the order, so this will be that, you know, the 3rd time through the batting order, which we're hearing more and more about as there are more and more numbers that follow and track those kinds of things for every pitcher in baseball. Carpenter is 1 of 2, is singled and fly to center. They have this shift on Carpenter in the first inning, and he popped the ball up into short left field. Suarez did everything he could to try and go out and get it, but it wound up falling in. Slowly hit to the right side, and boy, I don't like that flip at all.
Not one bit.
I mean, not a little bit. That is so close to, with a pitcher running and all his momentum and a big guy. You can see that being a juggle and a runner safe at first base.
You know, a lot of bad things can happen in that spot right there. It's almost no man's land between the first base and the pitcher's mound, and Romano's over there in plenty of time, and you know, maybe anticipating that a little bit, but he looks like he caught it with his bare hand and his glove at the same time. So all's well that ends well there, but that had a chance to go awry.
Always harken back to one of the great defensive first baseman in the history of Major League Baseball, Mark Grace, won the Gold Glove many, many, many times. And if I heard him say it one time when he used to be my broadcast partner in Arizona, I heard him say it 100,000 times. That if you can take it yourself as a first baseman to the bag, he felt you had to take it to the bag every single time. He said, because if you're holding it, chances are something bad can't happen.
Well,
if you flip it to somebody else, there are a couple of bad things that can happen.
Yeah, and the assumption that all pitchers are good athletes is a bad assumption. You know, they're trying to get over there in time. They're trying to find the baseball. They're trying to find the foot on the bag. And if they're a half a step late getting off the mound, sometimes that can be really tough.
That ball scalded into left field off the bat of Molina, his second hit today.
Well, for every ball that the Cardinals have hit hard, they've hit 3 soft ones, and it's seemingly falling right in there. You know, one footnote, Tom, on the first baseman taking the ball versus not. With the shift and the defensive alignments the way they are, I see more first basemen farther away from the bag than they used to play. Back in the days of Mark Grace, there weren't nearly as many shifts, and he didn't play as deep as many of these first basemen did.
DeYoung, who homered his last time up, pops this one up into short left field for the second out of the inning.
But I really used to love the way that Sean Casey would do it. He'd field a ground ball, and then he would race the runner to the bag and not touch the inside of the bag and stay in the infield. He would cut right across the center of the bag, almost daring the runner to run him over. And more often than not, the runner slowed down as he got to the bag because he didn't want the collision with Casey.
Still don't.
Brother.
Big fella. He was looking good over the weekend.
Good inning.
Good inning indeed. Ground out by Ozuna. Middle of the 5th. Romano with a 3-1 lead.
Little Joe, the All-Star game, Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. Joe Morgan, walk-off single in the 10th off of Dave McNally. Joe Morgan, 1972 National League wins, and they won a lot of games last year. And great to see Joe back at the ballpark, as always. If you have, man, I got to tell you, some of my favorite conversations talking baseball over the years have been with that guy right there.
Well, there is no question about that. I mean, he is as sharp now as he's ever been, on top of his game. He's feeling really well again. You know, he's had a tough go of it with his mom here recently into her upper 90s. And it's always great having him at the ballpark. A lot of his teammates were asking about him and missed him over the weekend because he wasn't here during the Hall of Fame ceremony, and Joe has never missed one of those. So our thoughts and prayers are with Joe and his entire family. Number 8 in the Reds Hall of Fame, retired jersey, and of course in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Romano v. Flaherty to begin the 5th inning. Reds with a 3-1 lead. And Sal is out of there on strikes. That is 8 strikeouts in this game. And we're 1 out into the 5th inning for Flaherty. He's got good stuff. Well, if a Red bangs a home run off that Toyota sign out by the power stacks in right center today, Chris Burley from Middletown, Ohio, the Middies, he would win that new Tundra, thanks to your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. The Middies. One of the greatest basketball players to ever put on a uniform, and one of the greatest football players to ever put on a uniform. Came out of Middletown High School. Can you name either one?
No.
You're going to be mad at yourself because you do know who these two are.
Okay.
Jerry Lucas,
of course.
Right? Went on to Ohio State. One of the 50 greatest players in the history of the NBA. Jim Day, I'm going to give you a chance as Billy laces one into center field. And Jim Day, wherever you are, I'm going to throw it to you. Do you know who the football player would be out of Middletown High School, one of the game's all-time great players?
War number 2 at the Ohio State University, that would be Chris Carter. War number 80 in the NFL.
Right on the money.
You guys would be good over there at trivia night at the Holy Grail. Got to find out what night that is and head on over.
Chris,
they're having it tomorrow night or Friday night. Friday
yeah.
night, 6 o'clock. They have it going on over there. Mo Egger will be over there.
And Chris spelled with a C-R-I-S.
That's right. You know, the thing, because I wasn't old enough to really watch Lucas play, and we weren't living in this part of the country back then, but what I'll never forget about Jerry Lucas is he still does it now. He travels all over the world and does those memory seminars where, you know, he'll walk in. He used to be on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. He'd be on with Phil Donahue and all these different people. And he would meet every person who came into the studio to watch the show that day. And then they'd go on the air and they'd ask him to name every single person sitting in the audience, and he never missed one. And you'd be like, oh my gosh, it's incredible.
Johnny Carson used to have him on stage and would have the audience stand up, and he had never prior met them, and they would just go down the row and give their names, and he would right then just repeat them, the entire audience. Incredible.
It really was. 1-0 on Peraza. We wondered, would they hit and run with this combination at first and at the plate. There goes Hamilton, and the swing is a foul ball out of play, so they try it here. Or we assume they tried it here. Hamilton might have been straight stealing.
Well, they're both peering down very hard at Billy Hatcher, who goes through some signs right there. The Reds really have not employed that hit and run very much at all under Jim Riggleman, maybe a couple of times. Very close. Best move we've seen from Weaver yet. Now you're get a pretty good idea why he's only given up 2 stolen bases this year. And they want to review that to see if they indeed didn't actually pick him off. We'll take a look at the look that we have to show you. You be the judge.
I tell you, that is close. I mean, that throw was right on point.
You know, I'm all for getting the call right and the replay review. I think it's a good thing overall because the quest to try to get the call right is important. But I don't think that the teams should get a note from their video guy. I think that if you think the umpire missed it in real time from where your perch is in the dugout, you get your video review, red flag, and you throw it on the field. You don't wait for your video guy in the bowels of the stadium to go through something, delay the game 10 or 15 seconds, and then ask for a review.
So you're saying that the umpire, almost like in football, like a coach on the sideline, just throws a flag out there immediately?
Immediately, and they rung him up. How about that? Well, the Cardinals video guy is on the job today. Billy Hamilton knew it. He's sitting in the dugout waiting for that verdict.
Well, that's so close.
You know, the other thing about a hit and run, though, Tom, is that you don't need a big lead like that.
Peraza, a good bunt, but that's a nice play by Flaherty, getting to that ball quickly and throwing him out at first base. Good play. Flaherty's pitching a good game. But Romano a little bit better through 5. Reds lead 3-1.
Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. And boy, has Sal Romano been impressive today. High fastballs, combination of that and a really good over-the-top slider has held the Cardinals at bay. He's given up 6 hits. That is 2 more than the Reds have had, but he's got a 1 spot on the board and holds a 2-run lead right now as we go to the top of the 6th inning.
And for Romano, by many starts we've seen in his young career, that pitch count, even though it stands at 84, I mean, you like to be a little bit less than that through 5, but it's not terrible. A lot of times we've seen a number of these young Red starters right around 100 or more through 5 innings in a game. And he's going to get a pitch on the first out here as Martinez hooks it to the left side.
Boy, nothing better than that. You throw a little get-ahead breaking ball in there. I mentioned about Romano. He's got 2 speeds on his breaking pitch. He's got that slow spike curveball, and he's got a harder one that it's a put-away pitch. But the get-ahead one, when you can get a 1-pitch out with that, you just feel like you flip the one up there and you get a freebie.
So now Dexter Fowler, Reds with a 3-1 lead. St. Louis batting here in the 6th, the decisive game of this 3-game series, and they've been 2 really good games. Reds with a walk-off base hit to win on Monday night by Dilson Herrera, and then last night played 11. Reds came back from 2-0 down, but the Cardinals on the Fowler 2-run home run won it 4-2. Another tight one today. See where the Phillies are leading the Dodgers. Phillies beat LA last night. And one of the notes we showed you before the game, I mean, there are good days, and then Mama told me there'd be days like this. Enrique Hernandez, utility man supreme for the Dodgers, had the big postseason last year for LA in the championship series. Well, with a game going 16 innings, he started the game as a position player. He finished the game on the mound. At the plate, he went 0 for 7, and he got hung with a loss on the mound in the 16th inning. That's a rough night.
Would have been a good day to call in sick.
Yeah. Wow. One and two the count on Fowler. We'll see those Phillies tomorrow night. 12 games over 500 going into play today. A 1-game lead over Atlanta. 7 games in front of the Washington Nationals, who are now 2 games under 500. Nationals and the Brewers just getting underway in Miller Park. And Washington team just continues to stupefy so many around baseball, especially the one area where everybody thought it was pretty much guaranteed they'd be good, and that's starting pitching. In the month of June, the starter's ERA was over 6.5, and not a lot better in July. And that's the 3rd time that Fowler, hitting $170, has walked in the last 2 nights. First walk given up by Romano. Drilled into left center field by Munoz. This one off the wall, ricochets to Hamilton. Fowler will easily score. And then another throw comes from a red cutoff man with no chance to get a runner at third. And now the runner easily advances to third, and that's a tying run. Boy, Jim Riggleman is going to be beside himself after the game today. Because if there is one thing he is a stickler for more than anything else, it is the fundamentals of playing defense.
Well, the fundamentals comes with heady baseball, knowing where the runners are, getting some help from the other guys in the infield, and that throw didn't have a chance to get the runner. But I think the runner's going to third base anyway. Maybe the throw should have gone to third instead of to home. So, you know, sometimes that relay guy who's watching the outfielder receiving the ball, he's reliant on the guy behind him to tell him where to throw the baseball. And the message got mixed up there somehow.
Because if you go back and look at that replay, Peraza has the ball and Munoz is not 3 steps past the second base bag. He'd have been thrown out by 20 feet at third. But again, somebody has to tell him that because his back's to the play.
And someone would have had to been here at second base.
I mean, look at that.
Nobody covering. So even if you make the throw to third base, you know, he'd be able to retreat to second because you got nobody there trailing him. Votto's in the middle of the infield to be the cutoff man. And of course, when the throw's that high, he can't cut anything off.
Well, this is a scenario we saw back in the 4th inning, with a runner standing at third, 1 out in the inning, and the number 8 batter, Bader, coming up. Bader struck out swinging and struck out looking. That is the tying run at third base. And it all started with a 1-out walk to Dexter Fowler. Munoz an RBI double to third on the error by Peraza, or are they not giving him an error on that throw? I guess they're just.
I think they're giving him the base. The scoring. The official score has to account for every base taken. So I think they're giving him third base on the throw and not on the error.
Yep. All right, 1-0 on Bader. And a fastball is in there, a strike. Infield in. Suarez, Peraza, Jeanette, and Votto. Very short lead at third by Munoz. Swing and a miss on the breaking ball.
Well, just a big, wild swing right there. Bader takes a pitch that looked like a very hittable pitch, the fastball, the offering before, and then chases this breaking ball with a big, wild swing. Look where his front shoulder is when he finishes that swing. I mean, he's just flying wide open.
Romano trying to punch him out for the third straight time. Here's a 1-2 delivery on the way from Romano. Got him swinging again.
That was a good read by either Romano or Barnhart, probably Barnhart, to realize that the way that Bader is pulling off the baseball, there's no way he's going to hit a slider going down and away from him. We call it a slider, he calls it a knuckle curve, and I mean, Bader has only really plate coverage about half the plate right there.
All right, so they're going to pinch hit now for Flaherty. Trailing by a run here in the 5th inning. Well, they've almost turned Flaherty into just a 5-inning pitcher these days. That's 3 starts in a row now where they get him out of the game. One of them was because of the second rain delay. In all fairness, that was a game he started against the Reds, allowed 2 hits and no runs. Tying run at third. And Pham, the pinch hitter, started the first 2 games of the series in center field. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. Romano with a bare hand to keep the tying run from scoring. Stuck that big old paw out there and snatched that bad boy away. You can join Mo Egger from 700 WLW for the Reds Fan Cam. Your chance to answer Reds trivia, win great prizes, and you might be a part of our Reds Live telecast. It begins at 6 this Friday. Holy Grail on the Banks.
Well, we showed you the Fox Express earlier in the game. There's also a number of other people. That is a group of people, all Tucker Barnhart fans from Indianapolis. That was a group put together by, and I know you've been on the show in the afternoon, Tom, from Indianapolis, The Ride with JMV and Tony D.
Oh, yeah.
On 1070 The Fan. They're huge fans of ours on Fox Sports Ohio. We thank them for coming on out here, working on their tan while they're here at the ballpark.
Why not? Got to be a great way to come to a ball game. Scooter Gennett leads off against a new pitcher, and this is going to fall in a hit. So Scooter, who did not have a hit since the All-Star break, has a couple of singles in precisely the same area of the yard here today. And the new pitcher, by the way, and man, did this guy deal against the Reds the last time we saw him. 4 innings of no hit, no run baseball in John Gant. That's when the Reds were going for that sweep on the Sunday afternoon, and Gant came into the game, and I mean, he just shut everything down right now. He faced a total of 14 batters, didn't give up a hit, didn't give up a run, struck out 4, and wound up getting the win in that game. Votto 0 for 1 has walked and scored a run. Two and 0 on Votto. Suarez waits in the on-deck circle. Gennett a base hit to begin the inning. Gant's only 25 years old. He came over in the Jaime Garcia deal from the Atlanta Braves prior to the 2017 season. He reached the big leagues with the Braves going back to that 16 year. And then last year pitched in 7 games with 2 starts for the Cardinals. But it's really picked up some very good minor league numbers when used almost exclusively as a starting pitcher. Swinging a foul ball back out of play.
And again, the Cardinals continue just to pound Joey Votto in on the hands. He came up in last night's ball game and ripped a couple of pitches foul like that, almost as a message to them that he's looking for the ball in there. That time, got in on a trademark a little bit.
Started to. Did he go? And no on the appeal. Up to the third base umpire, James Hoy. Told you earlier, Marvin Hudson out at second, Quinn Walcott at first, and Kellogg, Jeff Kellogg, is the crew chief working behind the plate today. 3-2 to Votto. Generally puts a bat on the ball. Do you think about starting Jeanette on a 3-2 pitch with nobody out? We'll see. There he goes. Ball 4. So a single and a walk. That's as many base runners as the Reds had in 4 innings against Gant.
Well, a big momentum inning for Gant and the Cardinals. They finally scratch a run to make it a 1-run ball game, and now he's walked the batter after giving up a base hit. So a chance now for the Reds to add a little insurance runs, and here comes Mr. Clutch.
Suarez today a 2-run home run and struck out. Home run came in the opening inning to the opposite field in right center. Breaking ball and a beauty, drops in there, strike 1. And a double up the runner at second on the broken bat liner.
Jeanette took about 3 steps to his right after his secondary lead, and that ball really wasn't hit all that hard, but it kind of took the shortstop back towards the bag, and he was able to flip quickly to second base. Suarez not happy. Riggleman probably not very happy. Reds have been less than fundamentally correct here in the field and on the base paths.
So first and second becomes a runner at first, but now 2 out. And here's Tucker, who is lined to left field and struck out. Indians are leading the Pirates that game in the 5th inning in Cleveland. 2-0. The Indians must be traveling today because they're generally not doing road teams any favors by playing a day game when the opposition is traveling and they are not. We saw that when we were in Cleveland recently, and I think the Reds are going to do the same thing to them. Oh, hello! That is a 2-run big fly by Tucker Barnhart. Reds tacking on with 2 outs. All 3 of their home runs today have come with 2 outs in the inning. And this one makes it a 5-2 Cincinnati lead. Jim Day?
The secret here might be a jar of peppers. We did a story a few years ago about Anthony DiScalfani's friend's father has a pepper company and gave him these peppers, and Anthony DiScalfani in the on-deck circle said, hey, it's pepper time, as Barnhart went to the plate and he hit a home run and it won the game. Well, 2 days ago, guess who gave him a new jar of peppers? Same guys, DiScalfani. Barnhart, a big 9th inning hit. The Reds rally to win, and now a home run today. A jar of peppers might be the secret here.
Yes, indeed. That'll do the trick.
Or it could be a hanging breaking ball. which he absolutely jumped all over right there. It's almost like he coiled up like a softball hitter. Piazza's Peppers. Hey, we like peppers up here too. Did you tell your friend Disco that?
Are you asking Jim Day? Jim, where are you? Do you have an answer for him?
Well, I'll have to get on that. It's, you know, it had been a couple years since Tucker had received the Piazza's Peppers, and it came 2 days ago, just the right time. Big comeback victory and now a home run, but I'll work on it, Chris Welsh, because I know that to go along with that kale salad,
you never miss a chance, do you?
Want a little pepper action.
We have to have something that has some taste in that.
We'll have a side of asparagus with that entree. Kale.
The asparagus is the entree.
Hey, but I tell you what, Mr. Welsh is looking good. I mean, lean and mean. So there's got to be something to all that. 2-2 on Duvall. Adams struck out in the second inning at that line drive home run to right field in the fourth, giving him 15 home runs and 61 runs batted in. Tell you what, you know, he's going to get a chance to play a lot here for the foreseeable future with the injuries to Winker, and we'll see on Schebler. And as horrific as his batting average has been this year, and there's been a lot of the years he takes a walk where the overwhelming majority of the season it's been under 200. But he is on pace right now again to do what he's done the last 2 years, and that's hit 25, 30 home runs and knock in 100 runs. So, you know, there are a lot of people that can dissect this number and dissect those numbers, and they can put importance on this one, they can put importance on that one. But there won't be 10 guys in Major League Baseball this year that hit 30 bombs and knock in 100. One and oh the count on Irvin. Fastball in there, a strike. Gilson Herrera standing in the on-deck circle. That would be the pitcher spot, Sal Romano. So apparently they're going to get him out of the game after 6 innings here today. Foul ball. Dropped into left center field, a base hit by Irvin. So this is a very different looking John Gant than the one we saw over 4 innings in St. Louis. Reds had 2 base runners, 2 walks in 4 total innings. And they didn't have a hit. Well, here in this inning, which I'm not sure he's even going to finish, Mike Maddox will come out first. The Reds have 3 hits and they've drawn 2 walks. The only batter he retired is when he got that broken bat double play off the swing of Eugenio Suarez.
You know, I don't know if it's John Gant making mistakes in today's game that he did not make back on the 15th when the Reds went down basically in order during those 4 innings of shutout baseball that he threw, or maybe familiarity with John Gant helps a little bit. they're seeing his breaking ball a lot better. They're getting way better swings on that curveball than they did back in the 15th of July. So that could be part of it.
Well, the Cardinals are quickly getting right-hander John Brebbia loose in their bullpen.
I mean, after Gant went those 4 perfect innings against the Reds, his next outing he went 5 shutout innings against the Cubs. He's been on quite a roll here until the break. Here's your man, Dielson.
Better believe it. Herrera being sent up as a pinch hitter. Well, you know, you hear about it all the time, and you know, we've heard Joe Morgan talk about this. A lot of other people reiterating they believe the hardest job maybe in baseball is to be a pinch hitter, a guy who's regularly coming off the bench, and I would imagine it's doubly so for guys who come up from the minor leagues used to playing every single day. I mean, Herrera was out there day in and day out once he got healthy and was so hot when he came up. And he has only made 1 start since he came here, and remember, that was when the team was in Cleveland. 2 days after being brought to the big leagues. They started Brandon Dixon the other night at second base and did not start Herrera. One ball and 1 strike. You go from seeing live pitching to all of a sudden, like you pointed out last night, Chris, 65, 70-mile-an-hour fastballs during BP. Sit down in that dugout for 2.5 hours, come up and pinch hit. Last night you're facing Hicks throwing 104.
I think the other part of it, you know, is that you're 24 years old, not 34 years old.
1-2 on Herrera. Started 2 and laid off. Didn't go around on the appeal.
You know, the approach is the same. I mean, Lenny Harris was one of the best pinch hitters ever, and he would always say, you know, you have to be able to come out of that on-deck circle ready to hit a fastball, because the first pitch you get may be the only one you get, and that's what he did the other night. Actually a little cutter off of Bud Norris to win the ball game.
2-2 on Herrera. Struck him out, and that'll retire the side. Told you Tucker Barnhart, a lot of friends and family here today, and boy, they are fired up after this. Tucker, a 2-run home run, propelling the Reds to a 5-2 lead. The man aboard, a Eugenio Suarez. Who else would it be? A home run to right to make it a 2-0 game. Romano got out of a big first inning jam. Cardinals left him loaded. He gave up a solo home run to DeYoung in the 3rd. But the Reds would get that run right back in the 4th. Solo home run by Duvall. Cardinals got a run in the 6th, but again in the bottom of the 6th. It would be the Reds to answer that plus 1 more on the 2-run drive by Barnhart. Romano goes 6 strong innings today. He has returned to the starting rotation. Gives up 7 hits and 2 earned runs. Jeanette waiting on Votto to get to the bag, and he'll throw out Carpenter against the new Cincinnati pitcher, David Hernandez.
Boy, has he ever been dependable as of late. Last 5 appearances for David Hernandez, 5 2/3, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. That's relief pitching without drama there.
One on Yadier Molina. Straight up in the air and hit a long way. And this one will fly out of here. Molina a solo home run to make it a 5-3 game. 3rd hit today for Yadier Molina.
Really a remarkable player. I mean, it just seems like he defies father time. He plays every day. I mean, here's a day game after a night game. Most managers are resting their #1 catcher on a getaway day like this. But Molina's in there, and not only in there, but he's batting second and producing.
Well, I believe I saw a nugget when we were in St. Louis right before the All-Star break, where when he came back to catch the day game after the night game, that he had set the all-time record by a catcher in Major League history for most games caught where a day game follows a night game.
I would like to have to stay up all night looking up that stat.
Oh, no doubt about it. But appreciate somebody doing it. But Pudge Rodriguez, I believe, has the Major League record for the most games and innings caught in the history. But there was another guy, physical freak.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back and look at some of the number of games and innings that guy logged. No wonder he's in baseball's Hall of Fame. DeYoung will pop it up to the left side, and Suarez has it for the 2nd out of the inning. Now Ozuna. You know, Jim Day had an interesting nugget about Ozuna. You know, much was made about that armband. Every time we want to talk about this story, he swings at the first pitch. This one will fall in a hit. Jim, you were digging around a little bit on this Ozuna thing, where it certainly doesn't meet the color code in any form or fashion of the St. Louis Cardinals uniforms.
Well, there's been some stories that have been written earlier this season about how his teammate Colton Wong was wearing an arm sleeve.
Yep.
Honoring the victims in Hawaii. He's a Hawaii native. Wilson Contreras, a Venezuelan arm sleeve, and MLB told them to stop wearing it. It was too individualistic, and it broke the MLB uniform code, if you will. But apparently Ozuna is okay because Nike makes those arm sleeves. My question would be, don't they make red ones? So apparently this one is okay.
I tell you, whoever's making those decisions at Major League Baseball, that is shameful. Jim, thank you for that report. Jim Day all over everything, whether it's Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips through the years, or what's going on in MLB. Well done. Well done. Well done.
that up, the 2018 All-Star Game wrap-up as well, with the Reds players involved. Best moments of the first half. Always look forward to that. Reds Weekly presented by Miami Valley Gaming tonight at 6 on Fox Sports Ohio.
A 5-3 ball game. Nice to see some of the Hunterman family out here with us here today. Family of our director, Brian Hunterman. Hanging out there in the shade. Good spot. John Brebbia takes over on the mound for St. Louis. Reds bat here in the last of the 7th. It's now a 5-3 game after the home run in the top of the inning from Yadier Molina. Billy gone on 3 straight pitches to begin the 7th inning. And now a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming.
Get ready to get lucky.
Jose Peraza, the batter, with 1 out and nobody on. Tyler Lyons, a left-hander, moving around down in that Cardinal bullpen, perhaps getting ready for Jeanette next. Today, when you see these crowds through the years, and we see it on the road, we see it here at home, but noticeably so here in Cincinnati, even when they were drawing big numbers as far as crowds are concerned, and it really wasn't that long ago, only a couple of years ago. But it seems like many times when we have these day games, and this is the case for today, where the crowd is the largest of the 3-game series. Kids are out of school, and good crowd today on this beautiful day. A lot of campers, you know, day campers in different sports camps or school camps, whatever the case may be. Great to have them here today. Nationals 3-0 over the Brewers. That game in the 3rd. They are scoreless in the 2nd inning at Wrigley Field. The Diamondbacks and the Cubbies. Understand the Pirates are losing in the 7th inning, 2-0 to the Indians. Pirates, of course, have won 11 in a row. Peraza may fly ball to center.
That's Trevor Bauer on the mound today for the Indians.
Well, how good was he against the Reds?
Been like that a lot of times this year. Very unusual day for Jose Peraza, not on base and 4 times up. His on base percentage this year is 40 points higher than it was last year. It's the kind of season he is having.
Jeanette, a pair of singles in the game. And this one down the left field line up against the wall. So after not having a single hit since the All-Star break, Jeanette has put together 3 of them here today.
Well, that reminds me of the swing that he had on home run number 3.
Yep.
The night that he hit 4 home runs, he hit that one hard right down the left field line inside the foul pole. Just took a fastball the other way. And it was against his Cardinal team that he did that. And as Jim Day just let me know quietly, he hit home run number 4 off the pitcher on the mound right now, John Brebbia.
That was one amazing night here at the old ballpark. One you'll never forget.
Yeah.
Be a nice run to get home here in this Red 7th inning. He had the 3-run lead after the 2-run home run by Barnhart, but then Molina comes back and brings the Cardinals within a pair. A 2-out double by Jeanette. Let's see if Votto can get him in. Joey 0 for 1 has walked twice, scored twice. Three balls, nope. Votto wanting timeout. Votto's walked for the 3rd time today. All right, Suarez done a lot of damage late in games and, well, pretty much all year long. He had the 2-run home run in the 7th inning yesterday, which tied the game. Right now his team up by a couple of runs, but a chance to add to that lead with 1st and 2nd and 2 away. Brebbia the pause. Jeanette and Votto aboard. 2-0. See those numbers right there with runners in scoring position this year. A 360 batter is Eugenio Suarez. Oh for 1 today. He hit his home run with Votto at first and 2 outs in the first inning. Struck out leading off the 4th and then had his bat sawed off in his hands, hitting into that soft line drive double play in the 6th. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 out. Suarez waiting, and here it comes. Ball 3. Brebbia almost appears as though he is terrified to throw a strike to some of these guys.
Well, it looked like he was afraid to throw a strike to Votto, but when you have Suarez standing in the on-deck circle, I mean, he must have been living the last few days in a cave.
Three balls and 2 strikes on Suarez. Got him to pop it up, but out of play. Well, they're trying to get the fans fired up, and I think a lot of them have been in the sun for a long time. Many of the fans have made their way into the shade, and understandably so. Good crowd on this Wednesday afternoon. 3-2 again on Suarez. Struck him out on a high fastball to retire the side. Reds strand 2. We are off to the 8th, and the Reds with a 2-run advantage.
Claire Roofing, first look at the lineups, interviews, features, tech talk, Tom's Tidbits, and more. And we are on the air tomorrow night, 6:30. Phillies come to town for 4-game set, and it'll be the Major League debut of Ranger Suarez, and he will face Tyler O'Malley. Again, Reds Live 6:30. Game to follow here on Fox Sports Ohio.
Okay. Tell you one thing, the people love having Jim Day back there in that Fox Sports Ohio condominium for Reds Live. Jared Hughes takes over on the mound. Reds leading 5-3. It'll be Fowler to lead things off, then Munoz and Bader. Remember now, Raisel Iglesias worked 2 innings out of the bullpen here last night. Didn't allow a hit. He walked a batter, had a strikeout. I mean, he was cruising, and he looked really, really good. We've also seen Hughes close some games this year. That's when Iglesias was on the disabled list, and we've seen Iglesias, 10 times go longer than 1 inning. And Hughes has done the same thing a number of times.
So is it a coincidence or not, Tom Brenneman, that last night, and I just brought it up while Iglesias was on the mound, but there were about 13 scouts right behind home plate last night. Now that number's down to 6 today. I mean, could they have seen who they wanted to see and moved on to somewhere else?
Oh, I think there's a real good chance, Chris. You talked about how his Fowler now has walked again. I don't know what the deal is with the Reds and Fowler. This guy's hitting $170 for the year. He's hitting .290 against the Reds, and they've walked him 5 times in the last 2 days. So now the tying run comes to the plate. I mean, come on. I know nobody's trying to walk people out there, and nobody's been better than Jared Hughes in terms of, having great command and great control, but I'm not picking on Hughes. It's been everybody that's been walking Fowler. Guy's hitting .170. Of course, Hughes can roll up a double play with the best of it.
Yeah, that's the one thing when you've got a sinker ball pitcher out there that you're always looking for. And he basically lives down around the knees. Unless you've got a hitter that is just a bona fide low ball hitter, then he has adapted a little bit and thrown that 4-seamer up there.
Hughes with 7 double plays he's induced so far this year. But, back to your question, I think, Chris, I think sometimes, and we don't know who these scouts are coming in particularly to see. I mean, they've got to keep secrets of their own. Suarez backs up. He'll get the out at second. They won't double up Ozuna. But let's just, hypothetically say they came in to watch Raisel Iglesias. I think any team that sends in a scout to look at a closer, they realize that they might come into a series and never see that guy. And if you happen to catch him for 2 innings in a game last night, you see him on TV all the time, but you want maybe a set of eyes or 2 sets of eyes from a team on him to see if anything looks sort of funny or you catch anything in between innings that you don't like or do like what the guy might do. I think you can just get on a plane the next day and say, hey, if you're interested in that guy, he's pretty good.
You might want to up the ante a little bit.
Right. Because he's really good. And we're not suggesting for a second that the Reds are even remotely interested in trading him. In fact, we have heard reports to the contrary, that there have been a number of teams that have been inquiring about Iglesias and that the Reds at this particular point in time have shown 0 interest in trading their closer. I think there are a lot of folks in the baseball operations department, based on watching the Reds for the better part of 2.5 months, that feel like this team is not as far away from being a competitive club inside the Central Division as certainly the way you felt at 8-27, but nobody felt that way, that this was that kind of a team that was 8-27, even though that's what they were.
Well, the one need the Reds have going forward, and that guy will be the first one to tell you, is a solid starting pitcher. I can't say top of the rotation pitcher because those guys are just so difficult to come by. But, I mean, someone that has some experience who can give you your 200 innings that are going to win, 12 to 15 games. And that makes everybody else in the rotation just a little bit better because it takes pressure off them. And if you don't have one coming up knocking the door down at AAA or even a AA right now, then you've got to look outside the organization. So to get quality, you give up quality. It's never easy.
Well, if there certainly is a real concern with the Reds right now, it has to be where they are in terms of players in their farm system. Look, you got to be honest about it. I mean, your number one prospect, unfortunately, has not been able to play a full season yet since you drafted him. And it's bad luck, call it whatever you want to call it, but it's the truth. Senzel has not played a full season yet. Nowhere close to a full year. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Bader. And we'll do it again. Bader has struck out 3 times, and 2 of them were big strikeouts. Hunter Green just came on the scene last summer. Big-time prospect. Saw the young man Taylor Trammell, the MVP of the Futures game. No question. Big-time prospect. I think a lot of people feel, even in a very short amount of time, that this year's number 1 pick, Jonathan India, would be a fast-track kind of a player. We'll see. A lot of people said the same thing about Senzel. 3-2 the count on Bader. And he has struck out for the 4th straight time.
The low and away breaking or fastball that time, and he just swings right over the top of it. Really doesn't have much plate coverage on the outer half of home plate. And that's going to be a problem for him, but it's a benefit for the Reds right here as they get their 2nd out.
Greg Garcia will be sent up as a pinch hitter. Hernandez goes an inning, allows a couple of hits and a run. For the first time, it seems like forever since David Hernandez has given up anything. Brevia, meanwhile, goes an inning, allows a hit, 2 strikeouts, a walk, no runs. Pirates are batting in the top of the 8th inning. Still trailing the Indians 2-0. Tribe trying to end that 11-game win streak of Pittsburgh. Trevor Bauer so far has struck out 10, allowed just 2 base hits. Two balls and a strike on Garcia. And a bouncer pulled foul. This is a man clearly you want to retire right here and right now and not take a chance on Carpenter, who stands in the on-deck circle with 25 home runs on the year, including 6 consecutive days until Sunday. That string came to an end. Base hit right field. Carpenter's going to bat. And he's going to bat with a tying run at first after a pinch hit single by Garcia into right field. Fowler advancing on to third. Iglesias is up and throwing in the bullpen. It doesn't appear as though he is ready yet. In fact, he's not. This inning belongs to Jared Hughes. We brought up last night, Carpenter's been both good against right-handers and left-handers this year. Right around the 270 mark against lefties, 285 against the righties. Big at bat in the ball game here. Reds up 2. Cardinals with runners on the corners and 2 outs in the 8th inning. Big shift again put on against Carpenter. Ball 1. This whole inning started with a walk to Dexter Fowler.
Boy, a 2-0 fastball looked pretty good right there on the inner third. They must have had a lot of comeback action on it, and maybe Carpenter wanted something a little bit more out over the plate. Hughes has not given up a home run to a lefty all year.
Battled back from 2-0 down to even the count. Hughes and Hernandez have just been spectacular for this Cincinnati team out of the bullpen. They've been used a lot. Obviously, Hughes far more than Hernandez because of the injury to David to begin the year. Tucker Barnhart wanting to make sure everybody's aligned in thinking of what needs to be done here to try and pick up this final out in the 8th inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Matt Carpenter. Foul ball.
And that's why Carpenter left that 2-0 pitch really alone, because it was on the inner part of the plate. He's up there trying to hook something. He's not ready to take that fastball from Hughes the other way. I mean, he's looking to jerk one into the seats.
Two and 2 on Carpenter. 2 on, 2 out, and Hughes again pulled foul. He's further and further in front on each of the last 3 pitches to him.
Well, the easiest way to get one out of here is to chip shot one down the right field line. And a little slider right there by Hughes makes sure that that ball doesn't back up and get out over the plate.
This will be the 8th pitch of this at bat, waiting on Carpenter to get in the box. And Jared now looking in for the sign. A long look in. And now okays with Barnhart on a 2-2 once more. There'll be a 9th pitch in this at bat.
That was the one that Carpenter wanted, and he fouled it straight back. Well, that's a good cut.
2 balls and 2 strikes. 9th pitch of the at bat. Missed ball 3. Came with a fastball just off the inside edge, so now Votto will back up. Or will he? Behind the runner at first. Runner will obviously get started on a 3-2 pitch, but maybe they want to keep him a step closer, because that is a tying run down there. Garcia at first. Tenth pitch of the at bat. And they are loaded for Yadier Molina with a tying run now in scoring position.
Now, Danny Darwin's coming out to the mound, so there'll be no pitching change right here, even though we did tell you that Raisel Iglesias was up. Now it looks like Michael Lorenzen is up and loosening.
Wonder what that means.
Maybe they asked Iglesias to get up and test it and see how his arm felt. Maybe didn't feel good enough to come into a ball game, and that's why they got Lorenzen up as a backup. But it'll be Hughes here versus Molina with the bases loaded. I doubt that they're going over the scouting report. I mean, Jared Hughes being in the division, National League Central for so many years. I mean, he is probably as familiar with Yadier Molina as anybody on this Reds ball club. And of course, the Reds see him all the time as well.
See Molina in his career with the bases loaded, 3 for 9 this year with 9 runs batted in. That's 5 career grand slams.
In fact, he has faced Yadier Molina more than any other hitter in baseball.
Molina's had a good day today.
Yeah,
3 hits.
And right now he's looking for something to pull. You watch his front foot right there. He was jerking it open a little bit towards shortstop. His hits have been to left field, except for that little blooper he had in the first inning. That was a jam shot. The home run went to left. The solid ringing single in the 5th went to left.
Molina 5 for 18 in his career against Jared Hughes. 278 average with a home run. Straight up in the air. So Hughes pitches around, a couple of walks, and the Cardinals leave him loaded for the second time today as Molina pops up to end the inning. Reds still lead by 2.
It's small and quaint, but we call it home. It's the Fox Sports Ohio Condominium. Reds Live postgame brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. And it will also have the intelligent comments from Tom Brennan.
Hey, now let me ask you something. I have always said those are your people down there because of the way through the years they have, and then they put in that railing where the people can stand there and bang on that railing. That's got to fire you up when you're coming on the air, man.
It does fire me up. It does.
Really?
Because, yeah. It's become a, one of these spots. It's go-to spots in the stadium, and we've all created it together.
I mean, have you made sort of any sort of regulars down there?
Oh, there are regulars down there all the time.
Okay.
And I've learned lessons down there as well.
Really? Like what? Tell me one.
Well, one time Kyle Schwarber in high school, I was down there with a group of friends, and he said I big-legged him. I wouldn't pay attention to him or his friends.
For some reason, I'm not surprised.
But I'm very friendly down there. I pay attention to most people. Must have been an off night. And here I go up to interview Kyle Schwarber as he's a rookie in the Cubs clubhouse, and he says, "Oh, sure. Now you want to talk to me."
Oh, I like that.
And he gave me the evil eye and then started laughing, saying, "I'm just kidding." But he was sort of kidding.
I'm not so sure he was kidding. But, I don't know. It's all right. Luke Gregerson takes over on the mound. He was just activated off the disabled list when we were in St. Louis at series prior to the All-Star breaks. This guy's had a nice career. Trying to get healthy again.
The Cardinals really thought at the beginning of the season that their bullpen would be one of the better bullpens in the National League. They thought that would be the strong end of this ball club. They've had injuries to Greg Holland, and Gregerson has really sidetracked that. And he goes in, walks the first batter he faces.
Well, Iglesias apparently is back up again. Down the left field line towards the corner, and Duvall's had a nice day today. A home run, a walk, and now a double, and the Reds second and third trying to add to this two-run lead.
Now he gets a pitch down on the inner part of the plate, only 87 miles an hour. I'm not sure what type of pitch that was from Gregerson, but one thing Duvall really likes to do is to get that low pitch out in front of home plate and hook it down the left field line. A lot of times it's a breaking ball that he can pop right out of the ballpark.
All right, here's Irvin, infield in. Well, he pulled off that ball like he was trying to hit it down the left field line and barely made contact. And in fact, Phillip quite fortunate that ball did not go fair right to the first baseman.
I think it was a breaking ball that had a little more bite on it than he thought.
Oh, and won the count. And the regular windup for Gregerson. And that one drilled into right center field. It'll fall in a hit. And the ball rolls all the way to the wall. 2 runs will score on a double by Irvin. Huge runs in the Cincinnati 8th inning.
You know, after a guy had a swing like he did on your previous pitch, which was a curveball, why would you come back with a fastball? on the inner part of the plate where he's pulling off of it. May have just missed his spot, but the Reds pick up 2, and that is a bit of separation right there. Now a 4-run lead.
Still nobody out for Brandon Dixon. He'll come up there and bat for Jared Hughes. Hughes an inning. Allowed to hit a couple of walks. He had 1 strikeout, did not allow a run. I would imagine now this not being a save situation that we would say Iglesias, but who knows? Maybe he already got him hot and you bring him in. But you know, you got to remember the Reds are not going to have an off day until Monday. They play the Phillies starting tomorrow the next 4 days. Austin Bryce, in fact, is now up throwing in the bullpen. Now Irvin caught between second and third, and the Cardinals will tag him out. On to second goes Dixon, and he is safe. So 1 out in the inning. Runner at second.
Well, if you're going to get hung up, you might as well stay in the pickle long enough to be able to let the trail runner come and take the spot where you were. I mean, had he not been caught off the bag, you get the exact same situation that the Reds were left with now. Runner at second base and 1 out. Back to the mound, catches Phillip Ervin off, and now he dances around. And it's just an inefficient way of getting it done by the Cardinals. We have seen some less than stellar fundamentals here.
So Dixon at second, and now Billy Hamilton.
May say that we've seen nice exit velocity and launch angle, but poor fundamentals.
So which in this day and age gets more pub? Style or substance?
Well, I think the spreadsheets are easier to understand for most people who watch the game. For the old timers and those that have played, you know, a little bit of Little League or through high school and so on, the fundamentals are the ones that are planted deep in your soul.
Second out of the inning. So back to the top of the order in Jose Peraza. Dixon out there at second base. If you're looking ahead of the Cardinal ninth inning, it will be DeYoung, Ozuna, Martinez. And apparently the Reds have already made the decision they're going to hand the ball to Austin Bryce with what could be a 4-run lead going into the ninth. Bryce has thrown the ball really well since coming back from the minor leagues. Only had a couple of times on the mound, but has looked quite sharp. Boy, what a difference between the first 2 days, really the first 5 games of this homestand, offensively speaking, for the Reds compared to today. 7 runs, 10 hits. They've drawn 5 walks. They've had guys on base a lot and getting them in, especially with 2 outs. All 3 of their home runs today have come with 2 outs in the inning. Duvall with a 2-run home run in the 6th inning. Suarez a 2-run home run in the 1st inning. I'm sorry, Duvall's came in the 4th. Tucker Barnhart's came in the 6th. I beg your pardon. Pretty nice play made down there. That young lady brought her glove with her today. How about that? Very nice. She should be smiling. Yeah. Well done. That dad sitting in front of her is looking at 2 boys saying, "What were you clowns doing?"
Got the whole family in Reds gear down there.
Yeah,
looking good.
Yeah, they're looking really good. Peraza looked like he went around. He did, and that will retire the side. But 2 big tack-on runs on the double by Irvin. Reds lead by 4. We go to the 9th.
Minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Check us out on July 28th. It's going to be a big day because the first 20,000 fans are going to get the Joey Votto Funko Pop. Thanks to Ram Trucks, I should say. 500 lucky fans are going to get a limited edition gold Joey Votto Funko Pop. Plus the post-game concert featuring Walk the Moon. For tickets, visit Reds.com.
Well, Jim Day already settled in apparently at the Fox Sports Ohio condominium. Good to get him out of the sunshine now for the rest of the day. So if he looks a little red by the time you see him here on Reds Live shortly, you can certainly understand why, to go along with that red shirt. I think he was wearing a red shirt today.
Jim Day's a little different than you are. You know, when you get out in the sun, you tan just like George Graham. But when Jim gets out there, he gets a little bit like the Reds tops they're wearing today. But you'll never have the kind of tan your dad has, so stop working on it.
I'm not trying at it, but I tell you, nobody looks better than George. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that guy's like Nick Clooney, like George Clooney. I mean, that's the look. He's got it.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like $1,000,000. And, you know, another guy is Jeff Pecora.
Yeah.
That's another guy. I mean, they got it. They got it. There's some younger people saying, who in the world is Nick Clooney? Well, I mean, you talk about Big Daddy in this town. Forever.
Yeah.
Here's Ozuna. Bryce trying to pick up the final 3 outs of this one. This would be the 2nd straight series win against this St. Louis Cardinals team, and we continue to, you know, bring up the fact that the first 9 games the Reds played the Cardinals this year, the Reds lost every one of them. And now they will be 4-2. 2 more outs from now in the last 6. Actually 5-2 in the last 7 because they finally won a game. So they will have won 5 of the last 7 against this Cardinal team. And they'll only play them 1 more series the rest of the year. That will be over Labor Day weekend in St. Louis. So this is the final trip into Cincinnati this entire baseball season for a divisional opponent, which seems pretty odd that they'd be finished in the 3rd week in July. And what's really strange about the Cardinal, as good as Flaherty has been, this will be the 6th consecutive game the Cardinals have lost when he started the game. No. He picked up, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he picked
up the one in the big explosion. It would be the 6th out of the last 7. Forgot about that blowout game they had, but it would still be 6 out of 7 for a guy's having a really good year. They just get him virtually no run support. There's a fly ball into left field by Ozuna. This will be handled by Duvall, and Cardinals are down to their final out of the afternoon. Martinez with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. And now Bryce trying to carve out the final strike and the final out. And the Reds to take a 2nd straight series against the St. Louis Cardinals. This would be the team who is now directly in front of the Reds inside the National League Central Division. And that's all she wrote. Martinez gone on strikes. Excellent inning by Bryce. 1-2-3 with a strikeout. Reds get 3 home runs in a game, and they win it by a final count of 7-3. Sal Romano back in the rotation today, threw the ball so well. He will get the win, Flaherty the loss. And we'll be back to tie a ribbon around this one in just a moment.